It's vivid, I'm living up in this nightmare.
Who is that?
You see it?
It's vivid, I'm living up in this nightmare. Bring it back. It's vivid, I'm living up in this nightmare. We're killing them after cuffing, it's quite fair. Democratic, Republican fight, yeah. I'm living up in this nightmare. Nightmare.
I don't wanna wait.
It's vivid, I'm living up in this nightmare. 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 It's vivid, I'm living up in this nightmare. It's vivid, I'm living up in this nightmare. What's up, guys? It is none other than your boy JGiddins the father. As usual, I want to start off by reminding everybody to be positive, optimistic, and keep positive people in your circle, as those three things are key to ensuring positivity is invited in your future. Now, before we get started today, I want to make sure that I give a big thanks to a good friend of mine, a buddy of mine from the Yanggang by the name of Boyce. He has a YouTube channel called Mindful Skeptics. I would highly recommend that you guys check it out. Boyce has provided me with this Audio Technica mic, and this hopefully will improve the audio on my videos. So thank you so much for that, boys. So let's get into it. Everybody that knows me for the most part knows, and by the way, shout out to the Yanggang. I'm gonna wear my math hat. As you guys know, this stands for Make America Think Harder, right? But everybody who knows me knows that for the most part I produce content which is meant to serve the purpose of sort of incentivizing parents to do better, primarily fathers, and even more primarily black fathers, due to the lack thereof in our communities and the negative impact that it has on the community. So one of the things that I decided to do was a video which will sort of explain or go over a list of 10 ideas that I have for manufacturing happiness, or manufacturing sort of like a bond between yourself and a child. And the reason that I thought this was important was because a lot of times as men, as fathers, we can sometimes lack the innate ability to sort of have this maternal bond with the child. I mean, it's you can have it, but there are a lot of men who struggle in that area. So again, the purpose of this video is to provide you guys with a list of 10 things that I think will definitely help you in terms of encouraging you to build a better bond and strategically approaching how to do this, right? So first thing on the list is writing letters. Or I would say writing letters / poetry, depending on what your preference is. If your child, and this is going to be depending upon the age of the child, if your child is at the age where they can read and understand writing, if your child is at that age where they can read and understand writing, what I would recommend that you do is just write a letter. You know, even if you write a quick letter saying, you know, hey baby, I love you. Especially if you have daughters, gentlemen. If you have men, if you have sons, customize it based on, you know, what your relationship with that child is, what you know their needs are in terms of reinforcing whatever they need. But if it's a little girl, which in my case I have two of that are of the age of reading and writing, I would say just write them a quick letter saying, you know, hey, just wanted to remind you that daddy loves you, that, you know, I wanted to remind you that you are the most important thing in my life, and just any way that I don't want to give you guys a script, because at the end of the day it should come from your heart. Just write something that you feel will, you know, properly convey the passion and the love that you have for the child. So number one, write a letter, you know, poetry, whatever you may have, you know, to provide them with. Number two, pick a song, right? For me, and what I mean by pick a song is pick a song that your child will bond with you in a way that they don't with anyone else with this song, right? The song for me and my daughters is, and when I say daughters, I mean Journey and Justice, my oldest, who are currently 10 and 7. There's a song by a band called Paramore, and the song is called Ain't It Fun? And it goes, ain't it fun living in the real world? I'm not going to sing it because, listen, I'm going to butcher the song because I cannot sing. But listen, there's a song by Paramore called Ain't It Fun? me and my daughters would listen to this song on the way to school. So when I would take them to school in the morning, we would play the song on repeat, and it got to a point where now every time they hear that song, they think about me. And every time I hear the song, I think about them. So what happens is it causes a bond immediately. You know, this is something that will be very helpful to you as a father if you're struggling in the area of understanding why it's important for you to be there, why it's important for you to have such a great influence on your child. Next, I would say give a gift of sentimental value, right? And this can go both ways, not necessarily just you giving the child a gift, but also accepting a gift from the child and keeping it as to have sentimental value. One example that I would give, and I mentioned this in another video, but I didn't have it with me. What I keep on my keys here, right? A little bit of ASMR. What I keep on my keys here is a crocodile, right? I don't know if you guys can see this really well. But this is a crocodile that my second youngest child, JGiddins, age 7, made for me last summer when she was living with me, July of 2019. And I take this with me everywhere. If I'm not allowed to take this with me, I'm not allowed there. And this is a constant reminder to me of my daughter and her value to me and my value to her. And every time she sees me and she sees this, it immediately forms a bond and a connection. The brain starts firing off. She starts remembering, when we did it together, when she gave it to me. This is what I again call manufacturing a bond, manufacturing happiness, creating things that will give that sort of maternal vibe that you may be lacking. Next, I would say play Hangman, right? So for those who don't know, Hangman is a game where you basically draw like the number one, like the capital, draw the number one, a line. If you don't know, look it up, but you can YouTube it, I'm sure. And you draw an article of the body, so the head, the arm, the legs, as you guess letters, which you have blank spaces to represent at the bottom, right? So what I do a lot of times with my children when we play Hangman, I'll make the outcome something special. So you make the outcome something like, I will always love my babies. Or, make the word, I love Journey. Journey is my oldest daughter's name. Or make it the Giddins, which is all of our names. Journey Giddins, Justice Giddins, Gerald Giddins, and JGiddins, right? Make it the Giddins, or make it we are JGiddins. Something that will, don't make yours that. But what I mean is, try to make the answer something symbolic, something where when they guess it, they'll feel sort of happy and feel like they are a part of something bigger than just this game of Hangman. Make the game of Hangman matter to them. I'm sure my daughters can remember maybe years ago when they were 6-7 years old and we were playing Hangman. My oldest 6-7, and we were playing Hangman, and there were certain words that we came up with, and I also used it to teach them the definition of words. So it's good for that use as well. 5, I would say hide sticky notes. Right? Hide sticky notes in random places, right? And this is actually something I picked up from being a boyfriend or a soon to be husband at some point. So what you can do is just take like a sticky note, write on there, Daddy loves you, Daddy will always love you, Daddy is nothing without you, I can't imagine myself without you, and put it in their room. Put it if there's something that they do every day. Let's say your child has a laptop and they get the laptop, put it inside the laptop and close it, or put it underneath the laptop. If that child has a hat that they love wearing, put it in the hat. If they have a pair of shoes, a pair of Jordans that you bought them, then this can be kind of a combo manufacturing of happiness, right? If they have a pair of shoes that you got them that they love, put the sticky note on the side of the shoe. When they go to grab it, they'll see it and go, what? Pick it up and read it. Again, this is also for children that are at an age where obviously they can read and write, or primarily read. So that's a recommendation. Number 6, cheerlead in school, right? And let me clarify, because I don't mean get some pom-poms and go to school and cheerlead. What I mean is, so I have, as in recent years, been going to my daughter's school a lot more often, right? And in doing so, sitting in the back of the class, I noticed that my daughter answers questions much more when I'm there. and I do this because I talk to the teachers afterwards and, sort of get feedback, but they answer questions a lot more when I'm there. They're a lot more active. They compliment their father, or they compliment their dad to the other students. They'll say, oh, that's my dad back there. I heard Journey tell one of our students, my dad is so smart, you have no idea. That encourages the child to want to be more involved, and it gives them incentive to want to do better, because now they have the burden of trying to prove that dad that they said was smart, who's in the class, is his goal is being accomplished by making them what they couldn't be, and they can live up to what he wants them to be. So again, I say cheerlead in school, meaning show up in school, sit in the back of the class, go over to them, ask them questions, help them throughout their day with classwork if they need it, help reinforce the things that the teacher is saying, become a part of the class, even if you just do it one day a week. A lot of people take off a day a week because they say they want to, have a vacation or have some time for themselves. Well, take off and have some time for your kid, right? It will drastically change and improve their action in school. And the teachers actually really appreciate this too. Every time I show up to Journey school, they're like, Mr. Giddins, hey. And the other kids are like, that's Journey's dad. That's Journey and Justice's dad. So, and that also manufactures happiness in you, and it manufactures a bond in you. It instills values and core beliefs that may not be there right now. It'll help you feel like more of a man, like you're doing a good job by doing this. Right now, you may not have an association with that, so you have to create them. It's just about, strategically approaching it, as you do any other issue. Next, I would say number 7, create a phrase or acronym, right? So with my daughters, if you were to ask Journey or Justice, and I'm sure this will be the case for my 2 youngest as well, Gerald Jr. and JGiddins, but they're not old enough yet. But if you were to ask Journey or Justice, what do you do, or what do you do if you do something wrong? Both of them will answer, accept responsibility for your actions. And that's because I repeated this to them constantly. I made them repeat it to me. Anytime they did something wrong, I would say, what are you supposed to do if you do something wrong? Accept responsibility for my actions. This will teach them not to lie. This will teach them to sort of have morals, and teach them to have a line that they won't cross. Like me, I'm the type of person, I don't lie. I just don't lie. I won't do it because I associate lying with fear. If you're lying, you're scared of something, and I'm not really scared of anything. So I'm not gonna lie for anybody. I wouldn't lie for my kids. I'm not lying. It's not happening. So these are the things that I try to instill in my children. I just would recommend that you create something in that realm for yourself and your child. And when I say acronym, I mean like this has nothing to do with raising a child, but just to give an example, I used to leave things at home a lot, my keys and things like that, before I left for work. So I created an acronym called PICWHIP, which was phone, iPad, keys, wallet, badge, PICWHIP. So every day before I left out, I would say PICWHIP, and it would remind me of all the things I need before I left, right? So if you could sort of equate that to what you would do, like metaphorically, what you would do with your child, and create an acronym that you guys can say to each other that they would remember, then that would work. So I say a phrase or acronym because those are the things that would help manufacture that type of bond. And it definitely will improve the relationship between yourself and the child and make it very strong, I promise you. Number 8, reinforce with strong value statements. So what I mean by that is, like, always refer to your child as a king or a queen or a prince or a princess or something of great value, even when you're beating them, when you're disciplining them. And always remind them that the reason that you're doing it is because of the value that they have, and the fact that you want to remind them of that value. I just always, and the reason that I put this down is something that will sort of act as a manufacturing of happiness or a bond, is because they will respect you for this, and they will actually think of you when it comes time for them to second guess themselves. So when they're dealing with peer pressure in school, when they're dealing with people causing them to think twice about their value and who they are. They'll think back to the things that you called them, the things that you named them, and always try to allude to them being better than you. I know a lot of people don't like to do that, but honestly, we have to understand that our children are superior to us. They have all of our DNA, all of the DNA of our ancestors, and more. So they are superior. The only reason that they're not is because they can't read and write and they don't know anything, but that's your job to teach it to them. But on a scientific level, they are superior to you, and we have to recognize that, and we have to have them recognize that if we truly want them to be the best that they can be and excel in life, right? And that should be your goal if you're a parent. Me personally, I feel like if you're a parent and your goal is not to make your child better than you, then why are you parenting? Like, are you, do you want a slave? Do you want someone who is a slave to you, who just, follows your orders and does what you say? You should want a leader. You should want someone who's going to be better than you, who can build a better being than even you can, so that their child is better. And you're teaching them how to raise their child. They're going to do the same thing to their children that you did to them, more than likely. That's why a lot of parents who are abusive to their children were also abused growing up. A lot of parents that you hear cursing at their children and calling them names were also cursed at and called names growing up, and they think that it's normal, so they just do it because they don't know any better, literally. Like, you know what I mean? So you have to show better if you expect them to do better. Number 9, ask for help with parenting from your child, right? And this empowers your child to feel like they are in control of their love for you and your love for them. I brought this up when I was actually doing a group interview recently for a job, where I was talking about how to deal with an escalated customer. And one of the best ways to deal with an escalated customer and customer service is to empower the customer, regardless of whether or not they're wrong. I've had customers who drop their phone in the toilet and they don't have insurance, but they call and say, I want a new phone now. I don't care if I have insurance or not. You get it to me now. The way to de-escalate that customer is to make them feel empowered. Either way, whether you're going to say yes or no, when you put them on hold, they need to know that you're working for them. They need to know that they have controlled the narrative of what you are trying to do, and you are trying to help them. So when you're, dealing with your child, always make them feel empowered. Even if you are disciplining them, still let them know that it is your job to serve them. It is your job to make them the best being that they can be, and you need their help to do that. It might seem like something that's far-fetched because you're like, well, these are kids, but don't underestimate your kids. Trust me, Journey and Justice are brilliant. Like, and unless you tap into it, they won't tap into it. So just understand that your children are whatever you make them, right? So just try to instill in them that again, you need their help with the things that you're doing, and this will again cause a bond. It'll cause the child to not become so combative with you and feel like, I'm competing with you, and they will feel like you're working together. And I always say to my daughters, I need your help to make you the best woman you can be. Help me help you. You understand? So, and you just have to find your own way to convey that. You don't necessarily have to take words that I'm saying. Just find your own way to implement these things. These are just sort of guidelines, and my nose keeps itching for some reason. These are just sort of guidelines and roadmaps for what suggestions I would have in terms of manufacturing happiness. Lastly, and this is a pretty vague or broad one, but explain everything in detail, right? That is a piece of parenting advice that I would give outside of just manufacturing happiness and manufacturing a bond between yourself and your child. It's just good parenting in general. Always explain everything. I hate to see a parent discipline a child but not explain to the child why they just got disciplined. That's something that you would never accept. If you were at a job and they called you into the office and they wrote you up and said, yeah, here's your write-up, take this back, but they didn't explain to you why you got written up, or they didn't explain to you how what you did impacts the business negatively, it would leave you baffled to say, okay, well, why would I not do it again? Or it would lead you to just feel like you just shouldn't get caught doing that thing. But you'll never know why what you did negatively had an impact on things. And for instance, this is just a brief example, like if a child were to go up to the stove and touch the fire, if you grab their hand, or they try to touch the stove or the fire, if you grab their hand and you just pop them or beat them and say, You better not do that again, and send them on their way. They're gonna cry. You know, if you put them in timeout, they're gonna cry, they're gonna sit in timeout, and then they're gonna go about their day. And then they're gonna come back and see that stove, and the first thing they're gonna think is mom or dad around, because I don't want them to see me touching the stove because I might get in trouble, right? They're not gonna think, oh my God, that's fire. Fire burns and disintegrates skin, which will cause a lot of pain. They're not gonna think that because you didn't teach them that. The only thing you taught them was, don't let me catch you doing this. So, you know, when you discipline a child, you're technically teaching them how to act in the future. So just keep that in mind when you're disciplining a child. You don't want to just beat them. You don't want to just punish them. You have to explain to them in detail the reasoning behind you punishing them and the reasoning behind their action being one that you don't support. And that goes hand in hand with what I said about, you know, having them help you with parenting. Explain to them why them doing that makes it hard for you to do your job. You know, my job is to serve you as a parent and make sure that you turn out the best child and the best woman or man that you can grow to be. It makes it tough for me to do this. You know, even if just be very open with your child. You know, like if you're on the bus, this happens a lot because I ride public transportation. You'll be on the bus and the kid is like screaming, and you know, if that embarrasses you, if that makes you feel embarrassed that your child is acting this way, tell your child. You know, don't feel like, oh, I'm too good I'm not gonna let them see me weak. This is your partner for life, literally. You know, explain to them, listen, I get embarrassed when you do this, and I get embarrassed because I want people to think that I'm the best parent that I can be. I want them to think that you love and care for me enough to not put me in a position where I feel this way. And I know that you love me to that level, and I really need your help with this. And see what they say. Engage your responses based on that. You'll be surprised how far you can get when you treat your child like they're not a child. When you treat them like they're a being. When you treat them like they are a supreme being who is superior to you. When you treat them that way, they'll start to act that way. Believe it or not. Okay? That's about all I got for you guys. Again, I just want to say in general, always speak in high regard of your children. This goes hand in hand with disciplining them. You won't have to lay a finger on your child when they respect you. I thought about you won't have to lay a finger on my butterfinger, thinking about The Simpsons, telling my age. But look, you really won't have to hit your child when they respect you. You'll be able to just say to them, listen, what are you doing? You'll be able to give them a look. And then from that look, they'll be able to think back to all the things you guys talked about, you know, all of the help that you asked them for, all of the reasoning that you gave them for why their decision making is skewed. You know, all of those things will just come naturally when your child respects you and loves you. You know, a lot of people try to make their child fear them, and that is the wrong thing to do. Making anybody fear you is the wrong thing to do. When people fear you, they'll do things that they shouldn't do. Fear is a very powerful feeling, and it's not one that typically is associated with positivity. When normally when you're scared, you do crazy things. You know, you do. So again, guys, that's about all I got for you. I want to thank everybody for checking out my video. If you watched this whole video, please, in the comments below, comment other things that you may think of that you think other people who watch this video may need to hear or may need to see. You know, this is about us all joining forces together. We're like a super parent all together, right? So thank you guys. Thank you guys again for following my page. Please make sure to like this video if you liked anything about the video. If you get anything from it, make sure you like it, because we have to show YouTube that this is important to people, that parenting is important to people. Make sure you subscribe, because I'm going to have tons of footage to come after this, and I would like you guys to participate in that as well, right? So again, make sure to comment, like, subscribe. Thank you to all of my supporters on Patreon. You guys, if you would like to support me and make me able to continue doing these things and get more equipment like this, right, go to patreon.com/JGiddins, where there's sort of a bio and explanation of, you know, me, who I am, a lot of which is reinforced by the videos on my page that you can see. And I have tiers of support that you guys can provide to me, whether it's $1, $2, whatever it is. It does help. Trust me, you are helping with, you know, Pampers or a bottle or some shoes or, you know, clothing. You're helping with anything, because everything that I have is sort of belonging to my children or the Giddins. And guys, make sure that you check the hashtag the Giddins too, hashtag the Giddins or hashtag JGiddins kids, hashtag JGiddins advice. There's lots of information, and that's across all platforms, whether you're on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, or even YouTube. You can find information under those that I sort of give to people and just sort of encourage parents to understand what they could do better, and sometimes it just helps to see another parent who's talking about it. So again, make sure to check those things out. I thank you guys very much for checking out my video. Please remember to be positive, optimistic, and keep positive people in your circle, as those three things are key to ensuring positivity is invited in your future. Shout out to the Yanggang. You are my family. All of you guys are my family, and you are innocent until proven guilty as far as I'm concerned, unless you prove me otherwise. All right, it's your boy JGiddins out. Love you.